speeds. Yeah, to bring this down. This is like a little bit too hot. Okay, now we're off. YouTube friends, what is going on? We are back, brand new video. Today we are talking about a couple of topics. One specifically is basically the things that I wish I knew before I started my career in filmmaking and working as a cinematographer. Now I know what you're thinking. Who the fuck cares? Right? At the end of the day, some people do care, and especially if you're actually trying to break into the industry as a working cinematographer, as a director of photography. Maybe you're starting out with your music videos or your corporate gigs or doing small business, local business, branded content, things of that nature, but you really want to progress as a working cinematographer, right? Working in larger productions, working commercials, advertisements, and you want to be able to grow in that path. But there's a couple of things that at least I wish I knew before I went on this whole journey to begin with. And the first thing is what I call thinking small leads to small payouts. And essentially what that means is if you feel like you need to lower your rates for whatever reason, right? Maybe you feel like you don't have the experience, maybe you have the imposter syndrome coming into your mind, and you feel like, oh man, no one's gonna pay me $1,000 a day to shoot this video, right? If you are in that mindset, which again I was in when I first started out, eventually what that leads you is to smaller payouts. So, you know, you're charging $250, you're charging $200 or whatever it is, right? Maybe you're just doing it for free to build your reel. And again, something that you need to do in the beginning is you need enough work to build the reel that is competitive and comparable enough to the work that you eventually want to do. Large brands, large clients, many of them do have the budget. And if you're charging them like, you know, whatever number it is, they're going to look at that and say, oh, this guy probably doesn't know what he's doing because, you know, these rates are so low. So, you know, then that might be a different segue into like shooting some iPhone content or whatever it is, you know? So again, get to that point where you can start charging more and being able to communicate with your client that, you know, you are worth the $1,000, $2,000 a day, whatever it is that you wish to charge. The second thing I wish I knew is purchase only what you need and not what you want. Right. And so there's that business saying of give your clients what they need and not what they want. And same thing applies to you when it comes to equipment, right? Because as a cinematographer, the basics that you need is a camera package, lens package, and then camera support, right? So tripod, head and legs. Maybe you have if it's a smaller camera package, you have a gimbal like an RS2 or an RS3 or an RS3 Pro, maybe an easy rig, mini max, and you upgrade to a Audiio 5, right? The essential things that you need, not the things that you want, right? So say you really want a set of like vintage lenses, right? A whole set from like your wide angle to your telephoto, and then you see another set of vintage lenses and you're like, oh man, those are super cool. They have super cool characteristics, nice bokeh, nice spherical aberrations, on and on and on. And then you see, oh man, it'd be great to have, you know, two sets of like autofocus lenses, and you have like your Sony glass and you have your Sigma glass or whatever, you have your Canon RF glass, right? And that does add up to a lot of money. Is it going to benefit you having all that kit when you may really only use like, you know, 2 or 3 things? So for instance, right now my kit it's a pretty minimal kit because whatever I need for certain shoots I rent, right? And I'm fortunate to be in a space where in Los Angeles we have ShareGrid, we have local rental houses like, you know, Bokeh Rentals and Able Cine and other rental houses, large and small, where we can get pretty much anything that we need. But my own personal kit, as far as like, you know, camera packages go, right now I only own 2, which is the Sony FX9 and then my Sony A7 IV, which is more for like, you know, B camera stuff or offshoot, you know, off angle interview type of camera, and I use it for BTS in my YouTube channel. And then glass wise, I have my Sigma full frame Cine Primes, the 18-35 high speed zoom, and then I have a handful of like still lenses. That's it. You know, I don't have like, you know, 10 cameras. I don't have, you know, 3 separate gimbals and whatever it is. You know, my lighting package is also very minimal. So again, in the beginning, purchase only what you need, right? Purchase just the essentials. And then as the years go by, as the months go by, you'll start to realize, you know, I really could use this macro lens, Or you know what, my current tripod is pretty shit and I could use a more stable tripod setup, right? So just take baby steps as far as getting what you need and not purchasing exactly what you want. The third thing that I wish I knew is to say yes more than you say no. So that could be in an instance where maybe a nonprofit reaches out to you. You know, you want to do something pro bono or pro quid, and you're like, I'm not going to get paid anything for this. Maybe they'll cover like lunch or dinner, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's also a client who, the budget may not be there, but it's a very, very cool product. It's a cool business and you really want to help them out, right? In that situation, say yes, because at the end of the day, it's going to be rewarding for you. You're going to be able to help tell better stories. You're going to improve your craft because many times in those situations, you can be a lot more creative. Because you can negotiate, right? You say, well, the budget isn't necessarily there, but in that regard, I'll also do it if you give me full creative control. Obviously, don't be a douchebag and just create something just because you want to create it. Be of service, be of value to the client, even if you're doing something, pro bono. Right, make sure it's something that they can use that can help support their business, that can help support their services. Again, if it's like a nonprofit or something like that, right? And not to say that nonprofits won't be able to have any kind of budget. They usually do. It just may not be as much as, say, like a Fortune 500 company or a business that's doing like $1 million in revenue or whatever it is. So again, do your best to say yes more than you say no. Number 4, which is pretty, no one really talks about it in our space, but it's tax breaks, especially if you live in a heavily taxed state like me. I live in California, Southern California. We get taxed on everything, so from your federal tax to your state income tax. Not many states, but some states, they don't have a state income tax, so like Nevada, I think Texas, Arizona, and some other states, right? They don't have state income tax. Whereas, again, like in California, we have state income tax and also the federal tax, So when you're going at the end of the year, when you're going through your assets, your expenditures, your insurances that you pay, all that stuff, look for certain things that can help you heavily when it comes to tax breaks, right? So that's equipment purchases are always a great thing. That's, making sure that you're covering like your mileage. Some things that have supported me in the past really are just looking at resources online, from like, QuickBooks Online to the IRS website and everything in between. You can start to find, maybe there was something in the past that you didn't add to your tax break. And now you look at it, you're like, oh shit, I could have saved like, $5,000 or $10,000, as far as your whole income. So do your research. Before the end of the year, right? Every year they always add little things where you can get a tax break, and you can't get a tax break, right? So every year, look at the resources online to see how you can start saving more money when it comes to getting a tax break. And number 5, this is really for the more creative side to us as cinematographers, as visual storytellers, and that is find your taste and stick with it. There's been times in the past for myself and my journey where I felt, this is the current trend, right? Low contrast or vintage, vintage look or whatever the case may be, right? And you start to see, more and more of that, and you tell yourself, oh, well, if these people are doing it, these guys are doing it, I should be doing it too, because that's the current look. And what experience has taught me is generally that's not the thing to do. If it's a project that requires like a low con vintage look, then that's what the project calls for. So you do that. But in general, as a cinematographer, you will always get hired for, number 1, your ability to be professional on set. And then number 2, kind of, it's very, very close to it, but you got hired for your taste, because as a cinematographer, you should be a chameleon. You should be able to do really any look possible. You can do high key, you can do low con, you can do you can do a plethora of different types of lighting scenarios, again, whether it's like oversaturated, high vibrance, or desaturated, muted, right? And you get it all in camera, or you suggest those things to be done in post in the color grade. as a cinematographer, you should be able to do it all, but you will always gravitate towards a certain type of taste or a certain type of look, right? And for me, that is like the Bradford Young Arrival, that is the like Greg Fraser Rogue One, that is like the Roger Deakins Blade Runner 2049, right? Those are like, that's my vibe. And other cinematographers that you may not have heard of, or the ones that truly, like, if you look at the current films the past 2-3 years, you're like, oh wow, what a great, they aren't the Roger Deakins, they aren't the Fade and Papa Michaels, but they're the Autumn Duralls, they're the Paul Myers, they're the Paul Camerons of the world, and so you can look at all their films, and generally you can sort of pinpoint that this is like their taste, right? This is like what they really gravitate towards. And so as a cinematographer, as you're going through the years and years and years, you'll eventually find the taste that supports you and stick with it, right? Just stick with it. Always upgrade your skills so that way you can mix and match and do different styles of lighting. But find your taste and just stick with it, right? That is your intuition. That is what will support you year upon year upon year. And those are the clients that are going to reach out to you because they have similar tastes and they want you to capture that for their next project. All right, that is it for me, friends. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel as always, just so you are notified of new content coming out. If you want to save a little bit of money on your next project when it comes to audio, when it comes to soundtracks or sound effects, I'll have a link in the description for 70% off your first year of Audiio Pro, something I still use to this day. And as always, friends, remember that every day you have an opportunity to create your experience and to write and tell your own story. My name is David Lee. I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Where's the gear?
I never knew. I don't know. I swear to God.
Swear to me!